This is a Dakota Fire Pit. In essence, what we have is we have a hole that we're going to build a fire in. If you know anything about fire building, you have to have oxygen to have a fire. So if I build a hole in the earth, there's not going to be the opportunity for much oxygen to get to it. So what I do is I build a tunnel to it to get fire. Now, this is a real common wilderness survival tactic for scouts, and I'm not talking about Boy Scouts, I'm talking about scout reconnaissance, surveillance type activities where you're trying to build a fire but you don't want anybody to see it. Because in essence what you can do is you can build a fire. I have a large pit here that I've dug, and in that pit it's deep. It's probably 12 to 14 inches wide, a good 12 to 14 inches deep, and I can make it deeper if I want to. And off to the side of it, maybe a foot and a half away, I have a smaller pit. Now here's the important way to set this up. This direction right here is the direction of the prevailing winds. The winds go in this direction. So I can build this on a hillside even if I want to. In essence, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed the oxygen to this hole through this hole. So what happens is the fire is down in here. There's a lot less light discipline, or more light discipline, because there's not flames shooting out everywhere that are easy to see. The oxygen is fed through this hole right here, all the way through here. It comes all the way under. So basically I've got a tunnel between the two, and you can't really see it from this camera angle, but just trust me on that. I've got a tunnel drilled all the way through right here. So what happens is if I want to feed more oxygen, I basically dig a deeper ramp right here so more oxygen gets fed, or I can set this portion down on the side of a hill, feed it in, and the flames will get more oxygen to it. Same thing is true if I fan it on this side. I'm not fanning directly around the flames, so that if I'm fanning the flames here, there's going to be a lot of smoke that's going to come up. Basically it gets fed, and in here I only have dry materials. Now we're talking about urban preparedness. This is not a wilderness situation. So you can do this in a yard. You can do this anywhere where you can get to the ground. You can build this out of concrete if you imagine doing that. If I have concrete blocks, I can build the same thing. I build a big hole out of concrete blocks. I have a way of feeding it through oxygen, and I don't have the only oxygen source directly over the flame. That way I can get the heat, but I don't have to have huge flames that are coming up out of some barrel or coming out of some hole, so that it's easier for me to be seen. So this again is a Dakota Fire Pit, and it's a real simple tool to build in a yard with blocks in an urban situation, so that you can have a fire that gets fed, doesn't have a lot of light that gets put off, and if you use dry materials, you're basically going to have a smokeless fire right here. So with that said, that's our last here on this lesson on how to build some smokeless fires, dealing with propane and kerosene and all the other different fuel sources. As a reminder, you never want to use any fuel source that is a fossil fuel inside, because in essence what you have when you burn fossil fuels is you have a real good opportunity for carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide is a byproduct of fossil fuels when they're burned, when they are not burned efficiently. It's nearly impossible for fuels to be burned completely efficiently, or fossil fuels that is, and so carbon monoxide will be put off. If you breathe fair amounts of that, basically you'll go to sleep and then you'll die because it starves you of oxygen. So make sure that if you're using these fossil fuels, propane, kerosene, gas, whatever it might be for fuel, that you do it outside. As with all things Nature Alliance School, come on, join in, let's learn together.